just about to begin the meeting. Before we do, I would invite you to stand and join me in the pledge, and then Randall Harriman will bring the invocation.
Lord, we thank you for all your blessings. We thank you for this community and everything it means to everyone that lives in it, Lord. Lord, please be with us tonight as we make decisions that impact our community. Help us to make the best decision with the information we have and do the best we have with funds we have. Lord, in Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Randall. I would like to now call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Springdale City Council. This is Tuesday, August 26th, 2025, and we'll start things off by asking our city clerk, Saber Jeffus, to call the roll.
Mayor Sprouse.
Here.
Brian Powell.
Here.
Amelia Taldo.
Here.
Jeff Watson. Mike Overton.
Here.
Mike Lawson. Aaron Huntley.
Here.
Randall Harriman.
Here.
Martin Fugerus.
Here.
Ernest Cape.
Here.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum, and we are at item 4 on the agenda. This is the portion of each council agenda that they set aside to hear comments from our residents. If we have residents that would like to address the council, we ask that you come to the microphone at the podium. Please clearly state your name and address. We ask that you keep your comments brief. We don't put a specific time limit on it, but if we just ask you to keep it brief and understand that the council won't take action on what you have to say tonight. They'll take it under advisement. So is there anyone that would like to address the council concerning an item that is not already on tonight's agenda? The other items on tonight's agenda, you'll have an opportunity to speak at the time the agenda's being heard, the item's being heard. Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then to item 5, approval of minutes. Council, you've had access to the minutes. I know you've looked those over. If there are no changes or additions, I would entertain a motion to approve them as accepted.
So moved.
I apologize. She didn't want to speak. She was asking me if now was the time. She wasn't sure if public speaking was now. So I was explaining that, yes, if she had something to say.
Thank you. If it's not concerning an item on tonight's agenda.
Yeah, she wasn't sure if it was on the agenda. She was wanting to speak about the budget as it pertains to the fire department. I don't believe that's on the
No, it's not. Let's handle the motion on the table. You have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All right, can you guys call that up? Well, that's a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Council, I think you're okay with hearing this comment. Yes, ma'am, you may come and speak.
I'm coming out of hibernation. I'm doing
Into the microphone because we want,
I've got a few things to say, but I don't know how long. I was told I could have like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know if that's.
You don't have 10.
Okay.
You
All right.
have probably.
I don't know.
You have 3.
I would just as soon not have any, but I'm here.
You go right ahead and
Doing
we'll
a favor for
just
someone.
keep them as brief as possible.
Right, okay.
Because we won't take action on any of this tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
This has to do with the Springdale Fire Department and how I became acquainted with them
Can we get your name and address, ma'am?
Oh, sorry. I'm Jane Franks. I live at 6984 Songbird Circle.
Okay.
My husband was really the one that was involved with the fire department. And he had many different health issues. And well, I'll just go through a few. I misunderstood what I'm supposed to be doing here, so pardon me. I haven't done anything like this for a couple of decades, and I've been kind of a hermit. Anyway, he had 2 bad accidents. One was in 2007, and one was in 2019, which landed him in bed for 2 years, full-time. And it was during these times we got acquainted with these guys because they came to rescue him and transport him to the ER. I don't know what to do here because I'll just go through a list of a few things that they did. And why I'm saying this is because, well, I'll say that at the end. Okay. They transported him numerous times to the ER, and this involved lifting him, 6 of them together, onto the stretcher. Was quite an ordeal and quite a thing to witness. And then they would come and sit and visit with him and talk with him. My husband was an amazing person. I wish he was here. He could do a better job in this. They would help me. They came and talked to him and just kept him laughing. And even though he was in bed, he had such a good spirit. They helped me adjust the oxygenator from time to time. One time they rigged up a triage in the bedroom, so I couldn't wake him up, and they got his vitals back to normal. But the ultimate gesture that they did for him was 6 of them in full dress uniform served as pallbearers for his funeral. He was a veteran of both the Merchant Marines and the Air Force, and he's buried at the National Cemetery. We came from California. He was a native. It's a long story. Sorry, I can't tell you the whole thing because this doesn't make sense. After the funeral, several of the guys have helped me continually. They've changed furnace filters, smoke alarm batteries, replaced ceiling lights. And 2 Christmases after Gene died, I was invited for Christmas dinner with them at Station 6. The first of those Christmases, they presented me with my own Springdale Fire Department jacket with my name on it. Anyway, I just know that these men are on a mission like we are on a mission. We're on a mission, and I am here to continue Gene's mission. And they made me feel like a normal person. I could not have gotten through all the grieving process. I mean, there's just hundreds of things I could tell you. I wanted joy and laughter in my life, not tears and sadness, and they provided that. And I know they often pay for things out of their own resources and for the people that they rescue. And I would encourage you to provide for them, as I'm sure you want to, in the best way you can, because they are really an invaluable resource to this community. Sorry I didn't get that.
No, you did great. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
And Jane?
Jane?
Hi, I'm here. I just want to say thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I would love to have a copy of what you've written at some point. If that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And thank you, sir, for getting our attention there. I about missed her, and I didn't want to do that. All right, we'll move on now to item 6, procedural motions. Council, what's your pleasure?
I'll move for both A and B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for both A and B, and it's on the screen, and I'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. And now we will move right into our Planning Commission report and recommendations. Sharon Tromberg, Director of Planning and Community Development. It's all yours, Sharon.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. The first item that we have tonight, it's an appeal of a rezone request that was denied at the August Planning Commission with a vote from 4 to 3. I have a map if. Hold on. Hey, Brian.
Looks like they're working on it back there.
Okay. We'll see if they're working on it.
There you.
So this appeal, I'll go ahead and read the title. An appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of a rezoning petition, R25-39, for Brooke Randall and Ginger Lee Martin from Agricultural District A1 to Medium Density Multifamily Residential District, MF12, on a property located at 4617 Levine Avenue. And I included a little summary and of the vote in the packet I sent, but if you guys have further questions. And I do want to show you, so The authorized representative sent this concept recently, and I think we have them here if you do have questions. But they wanted to pose it to city council of a 50-foot strip on that eastern side of the property to be a lower grade density, potentially an MF4, basically making it unbuildable for this area.
So if that were rezoned, so the request, it would be for an MF4 for that 50-foot strip that backs up to the cobblestone residences, and then MF12 for the rest, correct? And you say that, Sharon, you say the MF4 would make that practically unbuildable. I mean, it'll basically remain a strip, a green
Correct, it would
strip.
basically protect it as a 50-foot buffer strip.
Okay. All right. Brandon, you want to go ahead and speak to this? And we'll give any of you opportunities to speak before we vote, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So kind of to quickly start from the beginning, we've got a client that this original request came through before he had it under contract for MF12. Since we got involved in it, he continues to think that MF12 is the highest and best use. It meets the comprehensive land use plan. And MF12 itself serves as a buffer between commercial and single family all over town. Our development, which, just to be clear, no development plan has been submitted yet. We're still at this rezoning stage only. But any development that we submit will obviously meet the multifamily design standards. So landscaping, buffers, trees, fencing, parking, all of that stuff will be accounted for with our development plan. And then listening to some
Sir,
of the feed.
I hate to interrupt, but I know you, but I don't think you introduced yourself and said who you worked for. You keep saying we in our development. Could you explain that?
Sorry, Brandon Resch with Engineering Services.
Your relationship to this appeal?
I'm the engineer.
You're engineering for? Who are you representing tonight?
ESI.
Is that the petitioner?
The petitioner is the property owner.
And your relationship to the petitioner?
We're the authorized representative.
I was going to say, we have an authorization.
That's all I was asking. I didn't mean to make it difficult.
Sorry.
That's,
Anyway, sorry. At the last two meetings, we heard some of the concerns about buffering, and this request is basically an attempted compromise to go ahead and add a 50-foot strip of lower density MF4 zoning as further buffer to the neighborhood to the east. So this is our request.
I'm sorry, you said something that raised a question in my mind on you said an MF12 is an acceptable buffer between commercial and, do we foresee commercial on 48th?
Correct,
in the long
correct.
term?
It's identified as a collector, and so we expect, and our land use plan indicates commercial up and down 48th. And then just to, I guess, put it in perspective a little, our single-family zoning districts allow anywhere between 2 and 6 units per acre, while our higher density multifamily, MF16 and MF24, can get up to 24 units an acre. But the MF12, it's intended to sit comfortably in between those low-density districts and the higher-density districts.
Right now, it's single-family residences to the west and to the south, is that correct?
To the east and to the south,
East and south, excuse me.
correct.
And there's some on the north boundary as well.
Okay.
So in reading over this, over the July notes and the August notes, it sounded like there was some confusion in the July, and they came and spoke to you. Can you kind of brief us on what was talked about that solved the confusion?
Yeah, so a rezoning petition, it has to be brought forth by the property owners. And so the property owners came in and they knew that they wanted to rezone the property and sell it. And so they were looking just to get guidance on what the best and highest use was. And so standard practice is that we refer back to our comprehensive land use plan, which indicated medium density residential and commercial down 48th. It's appropriate for that area. It's appropriate for the growth trends that we are seeing. So that is what our comprehensive plan would recommend, and so that was the information we gave the property owners, and that is what they sought.
So the MF12, you're saying fits the comprehensive land use plan for this area. So does SF2, MF4, all those, they fit in that, right?
Yes, it identifies medium-density residential and commercial, but in MF12 and MF4, single-family homes are permitted by right. So you could still have an MF12 zoning and still build single-family homes.
So Sharon, I don't know if you have the numbered pages like we have in our packet, but on page 17 of what we have kind of shows the land use, where this fits in the land use plan colors, I guess. And it's a little bit different outline of what's being proposed. That right there is a different shape than what was on the screen just before that. If you go back to what you had just before, one more time, there you go. See that little house up in the northeast corner? That's not part of what's in our packet.
Correct, and that is just a preliminary concept that ESI had submitted. So the property owners are seeking to rezone. The petition was for the entire tract, but they intend to split it off and retain it as a single-family dwelling for themselves.
I don't know, I don't want to ask something I shouldn't ask, but you say are they the sellers of the property?
The property owners,
Okay,
correct, yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, our office has only dealt with the property owners and their two authorized representatives, being the Realtor and ESI.
I think this answers a couple of questions or issues that we have, especially in our residential area in the center of town. We've been trying to, and we've had discussions about getting rid of these agricultural zoning splotches throughout the inside of the city, and I think that, that's important, and this would do that. It also goes along with the State of the City address that the mayor gave about higher density in these pocket locations within our residential, so that we don't end up having the crisis that our surrounding sister cities do. So I think this change in zoning at least solves those two issues.
Typical practice I'd see those SF2s on Levine in that top corner, and then we're splitting that with MF12 and going to other SF2s. Is that something that we do often, or?
Say that one more time, just so I can follow you.
You see that, the SF2s in the top corner? And
The
then.
one that is fronts Levine.
Correct, and then you have Cobblestone's all SF2, and then Cody's SF2, and then we're putting MF12 right in between those. We said it's a buffer, but we're actually splitting some, so.
And land use patterns will not always be perfect, right? Because property ownership can be retained for long periods of time. But Levine and South 48 are collectors. And as you can see, 48th, just from this land use plan, you can see that commercial trend as it's coming down. So no, it's fairly typical, and we don't see it as inappropriate to have.
So if 48th develops as we think it will, as commercial, then this would be an appropriate buffer between the commercial and the existing single family. Randall, look over it, and I appreciate Sharon's comment that it's not always a perfect science. And it doesn't always work out just perfectly. If you'll look at the MF12 on 40th Street, just looks like it's just south of Walker Elementary. That bumps up against single family as well. And then, of course, you've got a PUD across the street that has several units. Yeah.
High-density multifamily there.
So an MF12 is 12 units per acre?
It's 8 units per acre by right. There are some incentives that the project would have to meet to be able to get that extra density to get to 12 units an acre. which is typically more open space, some design incentives.
So,
Yeah.
Just leaves
So
room
so
for
there is the
amenities.
potential for them to get to MF 12, but by right, starting out, it's only 8 an acre.
so the MF4 proposal is on the, how wide was that on the, it's on the east side, correct? It's 50
It was a
feet?
50-foot strip.
50 feet.
And basically, you're saying that makes that unusable just because it's so narrow?
Well, and if no development plan has been submitted yet, but if they intend to build townhomes, so apartments are not permitted in MF 12, so that's not an option. But if they were to proceed with townhomes or a duplex or triplex, anything that wasn't permitted in MF 4 could not encroach in that.
Say that again. So apartments are not a part of an MF 12.
Apartments are not permitted in MF 12.
It's townhomes.
We often see townhomes is typically the most popular that we see with an MF 12. But if it was a type of structure or use that wasn't permitted in an MF 4, they wouldn't be allowed to encroach in that 50-foot zone. So if townhomes or a multifamily development came through, that the MF 4 basically guarantees a 50-foot buffer that they would not be able to encroach in. They would have to come back and ask for another rezoning to try to utilize it.
Couldn't they, there's just not enough room to build any MF4 structures there?
Well, townhomes and certain multifamily structures aren't permitted in MF 4.
What if they wanted to build duplexes?
They could. They
So
could.
it's
if they-
not totally, not, so it's not totally unusable then,
Correct.
as long as it was in MF4? Or, I was wondering if because it's 50 feet makes it somehow unusable.
No, I think it was a compromise to ease some of the worries on adjacent neighboring people. But no, if they came with a single-family home or a duplex, they could encroach. They could get all the way to what their allotted setback is.
So
30 foot
the
setback.
appeal says, that it's appealing the decision for an MF12. It doesn't mention anything about a 4 on here. So can that be included on this
Well,
appeal?
He is, that's why the representatives are bringing it here tonight, because that was not part of the original proposal. So this meeting here is the first time that I think any of us are having the discussion about that MF4.
You want to
strip.
speak to that, Ernest? Is there anything you need to clarify?
No, an applicant has the right to downgrade. They can't go more dense, but they can go less dense.
So that is what's being requested tonight, is to include the MF4?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion that the appeal pass with the change of the proposed MF4 zoning as well? Yes, to overturn the planning commission's decision. But I don't know how to add in that MF4.
Ma'am, we're going to give everybody time to talk. We're just, we have a council member who's putting a motion on the table.
So Sharon, I have a question on the cheat sheet that you've provided in the past. Minimum setbacks, front 30 feet, back 20 feet, so there's 50 foot. So you cannot build anything on that 50-foot strip, if I'm reading this right.
It's near impossible because
Because of the setbacks.
Explain to me a way that it is possible, that anything could be built on that, because there's a minimum of 50 feet total.
Well, we
and-
have a development tonight that asked for a variance from the building code for the minimum house size to have a smaller house than we've seen before. And if a development was to, say, build a public road through there, then that strip might have some frontage and you might be able to, I'm not an engineer or designer, but I've seen some creative thing. I just don't want to say absolutely not.
I don't blame you.
But it would be very difficult, I acknowledge that. Yes.
Okay, we do have a motion on the table. If someone wants to second, that's fine, or we'll go ahead and open it up for discussion.
Let's go to discussion.
Okay? All right, we'll open it up for, Brandon, you stay close. You may want to answer some questions. And we just ask y'all are welcome to come to the mic one at a time, give your name and address. Please don't get too repetitive, okay? We got a long night ahead of us, so,
I
but
will
we want to
try.
hear everything you have to say, but
I will
let's.
try not to.
Okay, thank
My
you.
name is Victoria Gamble. I live at 2116 Cobblestone in the Cobblestone subdivision. My property backs up onto the 50-foot zone they're discussing. Yes. So my backyard, my bedroom
Yard backs
windows
up to it.
look onto this property.
Okay.
Anything that happens on this property is going to affect my home, my way of life, my property value, et cetera. One of the questions I have is on this 50-foot setback. It's my understanding that the 20-foot utility easement is completely on our side of the property line because that property was grandfathered in and has been there for so long. So do they still have to comply with the setback even though there's no utility easement on their side of the property?
Yeah, setbacks are a different issue than the
Okay.
utility easement.
We were never told that the MF-12, you could not put apartments. That's the first time I think a lot of us are hearing this, because when you read the MF-12, it sounds like apartments are a possibility. My concerns are the property value. This property is less than 5 acres, it's 4 point something. It is completely surrounded on all 4 sides by single-family homes. The little strip that you see on the north side going out onto Levine, that is the only ingress egress to the property. One of my concerns is for fire and safety. If you've got, with the MF-12, if there's 48 units or however many units are on the property, you figure 2 cars per unit, that's at least 100 cars, extra traffic pulling out onto Levine. Levine is a straight street, people fly down it. I think that's a safety issue as far as traffic goes. The ingress egress as far as safety with, if there were fire or something, I don't know if one ingress egress is adequate for.
Good question, and our fire chief is here, and that would all be addressed when a development plan comes forward. They would be required to allow for whatever kind of access that they need
Okay,
to
so just
make code.
very quickly, the traffic, noise, safety, if they're parking lot lights, I don't want them in my bedroom windows. I don't want people to be able to look directly over my fence into my bedroom. This is currently agriculturally zoned and has been that way for many, many years. These people inherited it from their grandmother, and it's one of my concerns is the water pressure. I know Springdale's developing and improving water in the area, but is it going to, decrease my water pressure in my house? If the parking lot is concrete, we're concerned about runoff. And of course, when you have that many units going in next to you, there's a possibility of safety and crime issues. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Coates. I actually live next door to her on Cobblestone, 2094 Cobblestone. I have the same concerns as she does. And then the other thing that I do have concerns with, because I know is the water runoff when we have big rains. Like right now, my backyard, stays saturated and has water there for, 2 or 3 days, depending on what type of water runnage we have. And I have a sunroom, and at times it will flood, my sunroom. So I'm concerned about the runoff on the water. Because I did a little bit of research on it, because I know that it says, like with grass and everything, it says it's anywhere from 5 to 35% runoff from grass, which, and then with concrete and asphalt and stuff, it can go up to 80 to 95% of runoff rate. And so, depending on the square footage of your home and everything. And, but just like what she said, the property value. And the rest of the home neighborhoods around us are, single family too. And not opposed for it being rezoning, for like a single family, to keep it consistent with what's already there instead of changing and making it, what I'm going to say, an eyesore. So, thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, you want to address drainage? I know that comes later with the, if this moves forward with the large-scale development. There's a reason that that we can't, even though like an MF12 allows so many units, would you say 8 units per acre? But with development comes a responsibility and a requirement that they capture their water, that their runoff, you'll have green areas, you'll have, so all those things are taken into consideration when the large scale comes forward. And that limits sometimes how many units or how many townhouses or whatever these end up being can go on the piece of property, because they've got to utilize the land to be sure they take care of stormwater, they take care of parking, all those things. So, but that's all addressed during the large-scale development plan. You want to talk about what is our specific drainage requirement?
We do. They have to account for all of the runoff accrued on their property. So no development, a large scale, so if it was townhomes or a single-family subdivision, can be approved in the city of Springdale today unless they provide a comprehensive drainage study that the engineering department reviews, gives comments. They have to design stormwater mitigation features that have to be approved. We hold a public hearing so that everybody is notified, has the chance to comment on it. And then I will note that, as a reminder, the single family, there's no city authority to require architectural or material, certain requirements or features on it, right? So we cannot dictate materials, landscaping, lighting, anything else, where if it's townhomes or 3 and 4-plex units or what's allowed in an MF12, we do, our multifamily design standards, they have to have approved building materials, lighting plan, and whether it is a large scale or a single family subdivision, everything that comes through us has to be vetted and approved by the fire department, the building department, the engineering department. So we vet it through all departments just to make sure that we have a quality project to bring forth to the city.
And
Thanks, Sharon.
I know sometimes that with our local developers, we know their standard, we see their work, we do that, What concerns me is when somebody out of state comes in, we make it so difficult for our local developers, then they give up on it. Somebody, out of state developer comes in, swooshes it up, and then they can put, like you said, anything without these design standards on them. And I don't think you really want to talk about how things affect your property value. That would affect your property value, not something nice like these.
Okay, come ahead.
Mayor, City Council members, I'm Jeff Onstead. I live at 4500 Cody, and I believe I'm the only one that lives on the south side of this property here tonight. My wife and I bought the property brand new in June of 1994. And at that time, there were horses back there. And for over 20 years, there were horses. And we loved living there. Didn't even build a fence, left the barbed wire up so the kids can go out, give the horses a carrot once in a while, those kind of things. And so when we heard that the property was for sale, of course, became very concerned. With the low density on the table, at that time, I definitely needed to say something because we plan on living there until we cannot live there. And we had an incident. I do want to recognize John Oliver, who's a friend of mine, but I had a neighbor to the west of us that decided to bring in a backhoe and then bring in a broken down car. And unfortunately, I had to call the city because I'd walk out onto our back deck and here we have a business starting in the backyard. So one of the things, and I do apologize that I was not here at the last meeting or the planning meeting. I know that the folks over here on the west side got a buffer, but I see no buffer on the south side. And I'm concerned about that. We do get some runoff coming not only down from the east side of our street that runs through my property. It looks like a river. But I do get some off of the development on Levine. So that would be another concern of mine. The other thing is that, we have been there over 31 years. We've invested in our property. And I know sometimes when things are zoned and they become multifamily units, triplexes, duplexes, those things, it does bring your property value down. And we're a direct shot to the back of this property. So, you know, if there's multifamily units, and let's say some people start to rent those units, that sometimes they don't take care of their property. We're facing that with the people that are in the house to the west of us. The one with the backhoe and the car decided to either sell or rent the house. Well, unfortunately, the house is not in very good shape. The backyard is not being cared for. There's piles of debris sitting in the front of the garage. And these are the things that we're concerned about, is that people come in, and not to say something negative about people, but it's they're being responsible to take care of their properties. So when I saw, of course, the 50-foot buffer, I was like, gosh, what I missed that meeting for? Because we would like to have the 50-foot buffer on the south side of the property.
Let me ask a question real
Yes,
quick,
sir.
Jeff. It may help you. What would be the rear setback? 20 feet? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You got almost half of it.
Almost
Anyway.
half of it. Well, I like the sound of 50. That gives us a little bit more buffer. But yeah, my wife and I, you know, plan on staying in our home. She's a school teacher here in town. We don't plan on moving. We're grandparents now. We added on to the house over 20 years ago, so we have plenty of room for the grandkids. They play out in the backyard, and you can see where this is all going. So I do appreciate you allowing me to share my concerns, and good to see all of you as well.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Judith McCann, 2126 Stonebrook.
First name again, can you, I missed
Judith
Thank you, Judith.
McCann. I, too, am a school teacher at Walker Elementary, right? Bought the house to be right there at Walker and love the area. Everything surrounding this property is single-family homes. And that's the way we like to keep it. We don't want a lot of concrete, a lot of asphalt, right in the middle of all of these homes and residential areas. That's why we're all here. We have 14 homeowners here tonight who are opposed to multifamily units going right in the middle of all of these homes that have been there for 20-plus years. All of the things that have been brought up are on my list. We're concerned about privacy. We're concerned about traffic. We're concerned about the water. We already have water problems, some standing in backyards now.
You're talking about stormwater.
So,
Stormwater, not Springdale water.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And the traffic is unreal, trying to get in and out of our subdivision. It will definitely worsen. So there are a lot of concerns on the homeowners' parts. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, you know, there's a good point of, you know, back when, years ago, you could be a teacher and you could buy a home, right? Those days are over. You can't do that. But I feel like teachers deserve to be able to live in those neighborhoods close to their schools in something that they can afford. And I think that they would keep it just as nice as a neighbor maybe with a house, in my opinion, Judith. And I think and I know Miss McCann, my children all went to Walker, and so I know Miss McCann. Yeah, she's great, amazing lady, amazing teacher. But I also want to make sure that we're not closing the door on what's affordable for our teachers, our young teachers today.
I agree. At the same rate, there are millions of apartments in our city right now, so.
And you know, I don't know, I'm not gonna speak for any of y'all, and I don't have a huge house, but it's home. And I wouldn't oppose something like this in my neighborhood because they would be paying more for rent than I've ever paid for a house payment. Go ahead.
Rod Gamble, 2116 Cobblestone Street. You had brought up earlier the apartment complex to the north It's close to the houses, but it's also across the street, and there's no single-family homes over at the Links Apartments. That was something you brought up earlier. The 50-foot buffer, how does that, it is a little bit of a buffer, but it's, if you've got a multifamily or apartment complex or whatever else you want to build there.
It won't be an apartment complex.
It won't be an apartment, but you're still going to have probably stacked on each other, and they're going to look right into our backyard. You're going to have lighting issues right in our backyards.
Let me ask another question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Sure.
I'm trying to learn tonight too, to make sure I have it right. Sharon, on two-story, does that change the setback if they build two-story?
Most of the new ones being built in this area are at least 2 or 3 stories.
It won't be 3, I don't think, but I don't want to speak out of turn.
It wouldn't for 2 stories, so single-family homes or a multifamily unit, townhomes, 3-plex, 4-plex, it's allowed in MF12. They can do 2 stories, but for multifamily, once they get to that 3rd story, they have to increase the amount of footage to increase that setback. So we try to have design standards that kind of, that try to prepare for these. So the taller you go, the farther away from the property line that you have to go.
Thank you.
It still doesn't address the lighting issues in my backyard. According to a study done in Little Rock from 2000 to 2016, titled Effects of Proximity to Multifamily Housing on Property Values, it does not affect the property value whatsoever. Most cases, it goes up, unless your property borders that property. It goes down from 3 to 8%. So we're going to lose anywhere from $13,000 to $50,000 on our property. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for that statistic too. I'd not heard that difference for properties that border. We hear all the time that it's going to make my property values go down, and many times I know that's not true, but I had not heard that statistic.
Just according to that, most of the time,
Yeah.
it does not affect it. If it's within 2,000 feet, it does not. If it's less than that, it does keep it usually level. And if it borders it, it usually goes anywhere from 3 to 8% down.
Thank you.
Hello, Brett Sparkman, 4563 Pebble Avenue, so I'm kind of at the lower right side. One quick note about that gentleman's comment. That's also a study done in Little Rock, so it is kind of local to the state. It's not something in California or somewhere else, so.
Little Rock sometimes feels like California.
That's fair enough. It is much bigger. Yes, absolutely. You know, I do appreciate the fact they've tried to add in a lower density, buffer essentially to those of us on the east side. Obviously, as pointed out, we have concerns about property devaluation, noise pollution, light pollution, which really a buffer doesn't really help with that much. Sound travels across air, even if it's 50 foot, right? And as things go up, 2 stories or 3 stories even further back, obviously you have more peeping eyes over, fence line, property, everything. But one of the things I do ask is it seemed like, there was a gentleman that said he was on the south side, and while he has kind of like a corner of that extra buffer zone, none of the other single-family houses on that south side have anything. Similarly, the left side, you can see it in the pictures, it's agriculturally zoned, but it's single homes. Again, they might have a little bit extra space in the backyard, but no buffer allotted to them, nor the single family that's kind of in the northwest quadrant of that. If you kind of look at the general scope of the green zone proposed there, 50 foot sounds nice. But if you go and look at the green zone compared to the Links Apartments, that green zone that's a water feature in the kind of top right of that is all green zone, up to those much larger apartment scales. But there's no real, it seems like plopping a much higher density. And I think, just to kind of reiterate, I think the bulk of the people here have not really had an issue with the sale of the land or rezoning even. It's just kind of the scale that this specific type of zoning would go for and enable in terms of, height and everything. So just want to kind of point that out and say thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sharon, is it correct, though, that anybody can build a 2-story house as it sits right now? And what's the setback for somebody to build a 2-story house on that MF4 strip? What's the setback for that?
20 in the rear, 30 in the front, and 8 on the sides, and they could go to 2-story.
And they could essentially look over the fence and see what's behind them potentially?
Is this a property that's going to be bought or rented? There's a big difference.
Well, there used to be a big difference, but now, today, there's not. Because people like me are now the ones that are renting.
Sir, we'd need you to come to the mic if you've got more comments, because this is we want people watching this, and of course, we've got to record these meetings too. So you're welcome to make comments, but we need you to come back up to the microphone.
But people like me and more people like me because of the economy are the ones that are renting. So I think that type of person that's being labeled is a different kind of person than it was 10, 15, 20 plus years ago, okay? And then I also would say that if you're ever looking to purchase a home and there is empty land adjacent to your property, before you buy that home or build that home, look up the zoning of that property so you will know what could possibly go in the future or what could change. That zoning can change. You can always, if there's land adjacent to your property and you don't purchase that land, then anybody can develop it. I just don't understand, I guess.
Thank you, Miriam. Do we have any other comments? Back to the council, and we'll give other comments if something is said y'all wanted to address, well, you're welcome to come back up. Council, it's back to you, and any questions for ESI or for Sharon? We do not have a second at this point.
Sharon, I have a question. We've discussed before, there's some kind of townhouses on another street, say Jean George, that sits back to a single-family home neighborhood. And they have a taller fence than a normal 6-foot fence. Would that be part of this requirement for something like this?
It would, we do. We have Chapter 56 in landscaping, we talk about incompatible uses, and so it identifies a table where multifamily and single-family, when they're adjacent, there's a requirement of a minimum of an 8-foot opaque screening.
Okay, and also looking at the south end, one of the gentlemen was talking about the separation, the setbacks and such. Is there any, Brandon, is there any chances of modifying, since you said there's no plans yet given, is there any chances of doing something on that south end that would give some more of a buffer?
I know that somebody had mentioned that west side of it, and just from the planning department standpoint, we have no problem with the buffer on the west side and the south side, but we wouldn't recommend the MF4 buffer on that west side.
Okay,
Is that
so
because-
also on that MF4, once it's done to that and whatever's built in the MF12, if that was, who's going to take care of the MF4?
It'd be the same owner. It's all going to be the same tract. It's just different zonings on the same tract.
It'll still be the responsibility of the property owner.
What about behind it?
So let's say townhomes are built on MF12 and you've got 50 foot behind it to the east. The people that own the townhomes are going to take care of it, or are they selling them off as individual? And I'm just making some assumptions on what's being built there. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to take care of that space in between.
I think and I know we're getting into particulars that will be sorted out if this is approved as you go to large scale. But I'm assuming that the developer, whoever owns that MF4 strip, will have to maintain it,
Yes.
just like anybody does.
And I would imagine that if you bought the structure, you would be maintaining it unless there's an HOA that maintains it. And that includes whatever's outside the fence line, and that's the way it is within the city limits now. We did that in council since I've been on here. So even if it's behind the fence, if you own it, you have to maintain it.
Right.
And if not, then whoever the developer is, if they're renting it, they're the ones, the management company, they're the ones that will maintain it.
Well, it's my understanding that from where.
Oh, ma'am, step up to the mic, please. Thank you.
It's my understanding that from where the property line is, that if they do an 8-foot fence, and any kind of screening along that 50-foot, section, are they going to have to maintain behind the fence? Because
They'll have to maintain to their property line.
they have to maintain it to the property line. Okay.
Is that right, Mr. City Attorney? Okay.
Thank you.
These are the hardest decisions that go before the Planning Commission and the council, because you've got a room full of people, property owners who are concerned about their property, and rightfully so. When we're in a fast-growing area like we are, and the culture has changed. I think, Amelia, spoke to that. The culture, many people live in multifamily by choice now. It's not like when I was younger and everybody wanted 2 acres and a, nice big house. People want walkable areas. They want convenience. They don't necessarily want to take care of their yard. They want a management company to do that. And so it has changed, and the people who live in higher density areas now, they are our teachers, they're our firefighters, they're our police officers. And there's a national discussion going on right now, and a big discussion going on in Northwest Arkansas. The Northwest Council's involved, every city's involved, about what we call affordable or workforce housing. And because it is a real issue, but the issue is land prices are such that you've got to build more density to make it work. And because of the price of the land. And while, Jeff, you talked about the horses, and I get all of that. But when we live next to a piece of property, especially in a growing city like Springdale, that doesn't have anything on it, we just can't expect it to stay that way. And that property owner also has a right, they're property owners too, and they have a right to market their property as well, as long as it's within the rules and the zoning that is approved. Now, this zoning isn't approved yet, and it may not be, but we've got to think of their rights to do with their property too, because they've got an investment. They've lived, I don't know how long they've lived there, Jeff, but probably it may have had the same owners for as long as you have, and they've got a family there that that they want to market their property. Our responsibility is to make sure it's nice, that make sure, and what Sharon said about someone could go in there with single family and build something that would be much more objectionable to you than what we can do with multifamily with our design standards that are in place. So it's something to think about. Okay.
Mark said he would like to see more silos. Mark said he would like to see more silos.
Big ones.
Big silos. As it is right now, you could build a silo, a bunch of siloed homes.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian Moore with Engineering Services. Just wanted to answer a couple of the questions and the concerns that have been brought up tonight. One of them is the drainage. The topography actually goes to the west, so it won't be, the detention pond will actually be on the west side. It actually flows from the east to the west, so there won't be any drainage issues for the cobblestone area. As far as the number of units you can get on something like this, without sprinkling the homes or townhomes, you can only have 30 units without 2 entrances. If there's only 1 entrance off of Levine, then you could actually only have 30 units, or it must be sprinkled, which is for fire safety, obviously. The way we're talking about doing the MF4 zone, it's all still the same tract, right? So it will all be maintained by either the HOA, or if it's sold as a horizontal property regime, they'll have their own POA to take care of it, and things like that. With two entrances, you can actually have more than the 30 units without sprinkling. I know that there was a question on the buffer on the south. we would be amenable to doing a 50-foot buffer on that too from MF, for MF4. I understand, if I'm single family living right there, to have 8 to 12 units may be a little much, but if you have a 50-foot buffer that you can only get, 2 units an acre or 4 units an acre in, I mean, that kind of makes a difference. It'll be set back quite a bit. We would be amenable to the 50 on the south side as well, just to try to come up with a good compromise. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them as well.
Then I would like to amend my motion to include that 50-foot buffer on the south end, as well as the east.
I'll second that one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion by the council? Anybody else in the room? If not, I will call for the vote.
Carries 5-2. The planning commission's decision is overturned. We'll prepare an ordinance and bring it back to the first council meeting in September, which I believe is September the 9th.
Sharon, when a large-scale development, well, this will be a large scale. Okay.
Correct.
So when it's submitted, then the adjacent property owners will be notified again?
They will, certified mail.
So all those questions about drainage, lighting, all those other things, and by then, you'll be able to see what the plan actually is, and you'll be able to get those questions answered at that time, because that'll all have to be worked out through the large-scale process.
All right, our second item, the applicant is seeking an NC2 for a few vacant parcels that are downtown in between Poplar Street and Harris Street, in between Johnson and Emma. And they want to go from NC1 to NC2 because NC2 provides a little bit more flexibility with mixed use and residential options. Here's an outline of that. And the title of this reads, "An Ordinance Amending Chapter 32 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Springdale, Arkansas, the Downtown District Form-Based Code, FB 25-07, revising Section .20, the regulating plan, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes."
Could you clarify NC2? That's a new one to me.
I'm sorry,
The
repeat your question.
NC2, could you describe what can go on an NC2?
Yeah, it's a little bit more flexible with residential options. So the dark red, the NC1 on Emma, it's our primary retail one. So you could have residential, but it can't be on the ground floor. So often you see like an upstairs apartment above one of the shops, where the NC2, you can have a little bit more flexibility. So like the new residential mixed-use unit on Holcomb, Sugar Cube, that's down there, that is in an NC2. So you can have residential on ground floor. There's a couple different, you could potentially do a duplex or an all-residential unit that you can't do in the NC1. But they still could do some commercial. The NC2 provides that flexibility.
Is that mostly in our downtown district, though? The NC?
Correct, yep. It's all part of that downtown.
Is this what happened at the planning commission, 8-0?
It was in June. This one, actually, they voted unanimously for approval. So this was approved back in June. We'd originally submitted it for council, but then requested it be tabled because we just needed to verify legal description.
Sharon, let me interrupt you just a second. Saber just got a note that the audio, someone's watching from home, the audio is not on. Can you guys double check that and make sure? I don't know how long it's been that way, but I'm surprised I haven't heard from my wife. It's good? Okay, thank you. Sandy usually lets me know if something's wrong with she watches it so she knows when to put everything in the oven. All right, thanks.
I'll make a motion
Go ahead,
to
Sharon.
adopt the ordinance.
I got a question first before we go. Sharon, it seemed like back during the planning commission, there were some conversations about the closeness to the road and sidewalk accessibility and how the front of the buildings were going to be allowed to be, because it's already so tight in there. Can you address that?
Yeah, and all of that would come with a development plan later, and there would be some significant improvements to this site. Right now, there are 4 parcels, they stretch all the way from Poplar to Harris Street, and we know that the roads are narrow. We would have to address it when a development plan came through. These are some of the oldest neighborhoods in Springdale, so when you're dealing with some of those older areas that were platted, 100 years ago, it's harder. Engineering department has to weigh in and kind of find the best design. But that NC2, where the NC1, the dark red, you have to build right at that build to line. So like on Emma, you go from sidewalk to building, where that NC2, it gives you a range of 10 to 25 feet back.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
We did already have a motion, didn't we?
But we didn't have a second.
Do we still have a motion and a second?
I think so. yeah.
Did you make the motion?
I made a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Jeff, you second that motion? Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? We got a motion and a second to approve. Anyone in the audience need to speak to this? All right, we'll call for the vote.
Carries 6-1, does have an emergency clause.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the emergency clause. Call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 6-1.
Sharon, on these emergency clauses, could you kind of explain what these are for these properties that we're talking about? Can you explain the emergency clause, why we need them for this?
If there are any pending action, so some of the properties that get rezoned, there's already might be a development plan in the works. Maybe it hasn't been officially submitted, but they are ready to get started on something. And so that emergency clause allows that zoning to take effect immediately rather than 30 days. So they can potentially start a project sooner. All right, our third item is a rezoning, and the applicant is seeking to rezone almost 20 acre tract at the southwest corner of Don Tyson and Haberton Road. I attached a little summary table to some of the back pages, just to try to give a brief description and try to answer some questions ahead of time. But I'll go ahead and read the title before we start some questions. An ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-40, certain lands located at the southwest corner of Don Tyson Parkway and Haberton Road, from a general commercial district, a medium high-density multifamily residential district, and an agricultural district to a planned unit development within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
So this is considered a PUD, or going to be?
Yes, sir.
Gonna be a PUD. So all our covenants and everything along with that is city enforceable?
Well, the city, not at this point, not with the rezoning passed.
That will come with the PUD
Yes,
documents.
that would come with an
It will
actual
come
final
later.
plat. So we would request recorded covenants before we would release a final plat, so that would come a little bit later. But we do request a draft, so we can at least see how they're gonna set it up.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. Other questions or comments? Anyone in the room? All right, we'll call for the vote.
Carries 6-1.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0.
All right.
Guess that summary sheet was thorough enough? Any questions?
It was very good. That's good. That was a especially good one today.
I didn't even get to some of the pictures. Here's some of the exhibits of how it's going to look like now that it's moving forward.
In fact, you're doing so good at it, if you're not careful, council's going to ask for that on Friday.
All right, and our next request, did you guys? Sorry, there's also a dual presentation, so I think we added some slides. Our next request is also a rezoning petition to rezone to a PUD. And this one is called Canopy Cottages. And this one is on West Morris Avenue, so just off of North Thompson. And I think we saw this piece of property back last December that came through. I'll go ahead and read the title. An ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-43, certain lands located at north of West Morris Avenue to East Brunswick Street from agricultural district to planned unit development within Springdale, Arkansas. And the same for the other PUD goes for this one, where I attached a little summary sheet and some information. I think we have the representatives here that may want to say a few things and show a few pictures. So I may.
Come on up, guys. Derek?
Mayor, Council, thank you. Derek Gibson, 6516 Wells Circle, representing OC Springdale, one of 3 owners of the property. So first, I would like to say, since we are going a different direction, I do want to acknowledge and thank you for your effort on the RV park new zone that was created for the city of Springdale. I still think that that's a value add for the city, and at some point in time, that'll be used appropriately. So thank you for that work. However, all things being considered, listening to the feedback, listening to the Planning Commission, the adjacent neighbors, trying to help address the housing need, we feel like that what is on the table today is the highest and best use for that property for all parties involved. And so I've got a few brief comments. We've got our engineering company, Jake with Odyssey Engineering, on the line. So if we've got technical questions, he can help jump in and answer some of those. And so a couple of quick things out of respect for the time. A lot of thought going into this project, going into the end product. Those are thoughts coming from Planning Department, which appreciate Sharon and her team, especially for the recap. Very nice on our project as well. But a lot of thought going into this on how we could kind of create the density, keeping the price point that is attainable for a lot of people in the community, and putting a product out there that we feel like can address the housing need. We believe this is a very, very good transition from a busy highway, Thompson, through the RV park, which we own and operate, and all the way back to the single families that surround this subdivision. And so when you think about the missing middle piece of that, creating a high-dense, quality, single-family opportunity, it's a really good transition through that RV park back into that neighborhood. And that was one thing that some of the adjacent property owners were a little bit concerned about if we were to try to expand that RV park, is what it would do to their property values. And so we feel like that this is advantageous to those subdivisions that are around us. Real quick, I won't go into the details. Hopefully you guys have seen some of this in the packet, but it looks like there's 43 to 44 homes, depending on when we get through the preliminary plat process. You're looking at a home that's going to average about 1,300 square feet, trying to keep the price point of that end product somewhere between $250,000 and $295,000, which becomes a very obtainable product for a lot of people in our community. And so I think those are two very important things to think about, even though this is a high-density area. The amenities that we're looking to add, obviously there's 15% green space requirement that we will hit. We've got a gazebo, a wet pond, a walking trail, a raised garden area, a dog park, and sidewalks and streets according to the city code is what would the end product be. There's a few different pictures throughout this presentation on what products could look like. The final design hasn't been confirmed just yet, but it gives you a flavor of what's going to happen. We do understand that it doesn't need to be the same house. lot after lot after lot after lot, that there needs to be some variability in that to keep the aesthetics of the subdivision intact. But a key benefit that I think, I hope you guys consider with this request is that we are absorbing the improvements to Morris Avenue. So we know that that street starts out being a 2-lane road, goes down to 1 lane, and then opens back up to 2-lane back into the subdivision. And so part of the commitment that we've made within this PUD is that we would absorb the expansion of that road on the northern half of that road. And so that is from the corner of the subject property we're asking to rezone on the southwest all the way to Thompson, which includes in front of the RV park. And so you should see a very nice improvement to that street with the sidewalk and the curb and the guttering that helps out not only with the aesthetic side of things, but also the fire and the police access to those subdivisions, which we know that there's been some concern about. This is only thing I'm going to point out on this slide here is just a couple of the examples of how the variations in homes could look. They are front-loaded garages, but very nice, attractable homes. There's just kind of an aerial shot of what it would look like. There'd be a privacy fence between this PUD and the RV park at the 8-foot level. And then the last few things, just to highlight some of the benefits. Obviously, it does address part of the housing shortage issue that the city is seeing. Again, talking about a great transition, the Morris property, the Morris Road improvements. And then we believe that the surrounding property values will increase due to this investment, as well as, of course, property taxes for the city. So happy to address any questions. We can get Jake on the line if need be, but thank you for your time.
Move the ordinance be adopted.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the ordinance. Any questions, council, or comments?
I would like to clarify one thing. It is 43 lots. Jake, their engineer, had clarified that during planning commission.
43,
Yeah,
okay.
which actually brings the density down to like 7.1, so.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Derek, you said you used the term, you meet the 15% green space requirement. Is that a requirement for, is that a requirement, or what is that something y'all just are proposing?
I believe it's a requirement for the PUD, yes, sir. But
It's 15% green space, correct?
Or for any PUD, or how's that work?
That's a minimum requirement of the PUD zoning, is to have 15% common open space, green space.
Hey, Derek, educate me.
Yes, sir.
So a PUD, normally when we've had some going in on the east side of town and such, usually I understood it always involved different types of structures. Single family, townhouse, multi-types things. And this is all the same?
they're all single-family homes, variation in size and a little bit of the look, but from my knowledge, I don't think there's a requirement that there has to be a variety of product when you're talking about size and bedroom count and such, but maybe.
It is encouraged, right? The intention of a PUD is to have that mix of ideally mix of different types of housing, a mix of commercial in there. However, a PUD is also a mechanism to address a development if a city's zoning code doesn't have an option for it. So we set a precedent with the links, right? All residential, where we allow people to come forth if we don't have a district that is applicable to the project, then we allow them to explore a PUD, even if it's all, we have some that are all commercial and some that are all residential. But we would like more of the mixed zoning and housing types.
So I'll bring up one that really frustrated me some years ago when, boy, they came in with a proposal for a PUD, and it was going to be multi-use, and there was going to be commercial here, and all these great, little shops are going to be on the bottom and residential on top, and then once they actually put it in, it's all residential. So they sold us a bill of goods, in my opinion, on that one. But that was the way it was presented, but in reality, it ended up being all residential. And this doesn't have anything to do with you, Derek. I'm really kind of addressing that question. I agree, if they're going to sell them on multi-use, they ought to be multi-use.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anybody in the room need to speak to this? In the audience? Okay, if not, I'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the emergency clause. Call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. Sharon?
All right. So our next item, it's a rezoning request. This applicant is seeking to rezone to a C5 for a community event center. They want to utilize, repurpose an existing house.
We'll
I
wait
think
on
he's working
our
on it. Can you switch back?
media here.
Yeah. So this site, it's about 350 feet off of East Robinson on Worth Lane. And a site plan has been submitted. I think we included it in the packet, and we have a,
Let's catch up here
Yeah.
so we don't get too far
show
ahead.
you before.
There we go.
So here's the location, just off of East Robinson down Worth Lane. Here's the zoning surrounded by C2 and C5. Here's a land use plan which shows the regional commercial along Robinson, and then lighter commercial to industrial. And this one, they want to repurpose the building. So we don't have a development plan submitted, so I don't have any further details, other than they did say at Planning Commission that they're seeking a community event center. The title of this reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-44 certain lands located at 2143 Worth Lane from a general commercial district to a thoroughfare commercial district within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion, the ordinance pass.
So there's been discussions in the past about different kinds of businesses going into existing buildings where we wanted to stop a church, we wanted to stop these other kinds of business because of noise. Is this building going to be required to hold down the noise so it's not like some of the other event centers around here that emit low bass for miles?
They will. I mean, they would be upheld to the same city ordinances that everybody else is. And when a development plan, if and when it does come through, we would address parking, building codes. We would want it to come into conformity with all of today's standards.
Do we have a second? Thank you, Randall. Any other comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Go ahead.
You're talking about a community event center. I'm looking on the old cheat sheet here. What would that fall under?
And
On
the
the
community
conditional
event
use.
center, either 18 is typically what it is. It depends what the specific project comes, but typically assembly, if it's a community event center that's going to be rented out for like weddings or parties or occasions of assembly people, it would be a use unit 18, which is permitted under the C5, which is why they're seeking that.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone in the audience? All right, call for the vote.
Carries 5-2.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
We have a motion and a second for the emergency clause. Call for the vote.
Well, looks like they're going to have to wait 30 days on this when the emergency clause does not pass.
Okay.
Thank you all. Our next item, our long agenda, let me find my next one. So the next request is another rezone request, and this one is for a piece of property that is accessed from both East Robinson and Gage Place, that is off of Powell. And they are seeking an I-1 zoning. They're proposing an additional building, some site modifications, some slight improvements, and so they're seeking to rezone to better align with the use that they have. Our land use plan does call for light industrial here in this area. As you can see here, you have the red regional commercial in Robinson, and then that light blue is light industrial. So it aligns with that. We don't have an official development plan, has not been submitted yet, but we have had pre-application meetings, so they're eligible to be submitted anytime now. The ordinance for this reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance to the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-45 certain lands located at 327, 331 East Robinson Avenue and 555 Gage Place from a general commercial district to a light industrial within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
What is to the west of that, what is that zoned? The airplane
I-1.
one. I move the ordinance be adopted.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Other comments or questions? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Okay, we'll call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you all. Our next item is a rezoning, the other side of the state highway, West Sunset. And this rezoning request is basically requesting a downzone of a commercial zone. They currently, it's zoned C6, which is for car sales, large retail products, and they are requesting to downzone to a C5. The ordinance for this reads, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance to the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-46, certain lands located at 5950 West Sunset Avenue, from large product retail sales district, C6, to a thoroughfare commercial district, C5, within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency. And it's worth noting for this one that we've not seen a development plan come through.
What additional options would that give somebody to zone down, like you're saying?
Well, first of all, it would make car sales ineligible, so they wouldn't be able to sell cars there. However, it would open up some other categories. So, for example, that use unit 18, the community centers that we were just talking about on Worth Lane, that would then be permitted by right at this location if it was C5.
It would also allow a drive-through.
Correct. It allows for a drive-through.
Move ordinance passed.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to approve the ordinance. Should I wait? Well, okay. I think so too. We may wait on the emergency clause. Okay, call for the vote.
Carries 6-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. We'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you all. And our next rezoning item, once it comes up on the map, is requesting a residential zone. So this one, the applicant is they're seeking a rezoning of a currently undeveloped tract to a residential district. Worth mentioning that the property just to the east, that MF16, was rezoned last year to the MF16. And that is what they are requesting for this I-1 track on East Emma. And the title of this is an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-47, certain lands located east of 1581 East Emma Avenue, from light industrial district I-1 to medium high-density multifamily residential district MF16 within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
Move ordinance passed.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Other questions or comments? Anyone? Anyone in the audience? All right, call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 6-1.
All right.
Thank you all. Our next item is a rezoning request to go to a C6. So this location, this is at the far west end of Jennifer Terrace, which is off of Don Tyson, just south of that Walmart Neighborhood Market. And the applicant for this is seeking a C6, and I think I put a little correction note that the original maps that we had a planning commission and in your packet reflected 7.5 acres, but just wanted to note that it's actually 0.43 acres, which is correct right there. That's the area that they are seeking. The size of the lot, it does meet the minimum lot size for the C6, 14,000 square feet, 100-foot minimum in width. The land use plan does indicate regional commercial. And the title for this is an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-48, certain lands located at the south end of Jennifer Terrace from general commercial district to large product retail sales district, C6, within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
They ever move that trailer?
They did.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Anybody in the audience need to speak to this, or any other comments or questions by council? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Okay, call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 7-0.
Our next item is a rezoning off Oak Grove Road to a commercial district. So the applicant is requesting a zoning, it's a 1.86 acre tract of Oak Grove Road. It's located between Bob Mills Road and Elm Springs. They are seeking to rezone to C2. Here is a quick clip of the zoning map, and we are seeing a trend of Oak Grove, at least having a neighborhood residential or lower intensity level commercials up to Bob Mills. So this particular property, the one below, was just recently, I noted the date, in 2023 was rezoned to commercial, and the tract above it has been a non-conforming commercial business for many, many years. The title of this reads an ordinance amending ordinance number 3307, the same being the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and the plat pertaining thereto by rezoning R25-49, certain lands located at 1310 Oak Grove Road from Neighborhood Office District 01 to a general commercial district within Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion the ordinance pass.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments, anyone? All right, call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Call for the vote on the emergency clause.
Carries 6-0.
I tell you what, as much traffic as Oak Grove's getting, I hope that's on a widening plan before too long.
Gonna need to be 48th too. Houses are going out there. All right, go ahead, Sharon.
All right. That was it for the rezonings. We made it through that portion. So next, we have 4 waivers to go through. The first one is they're requesting a sidewalk waiver for building a single-family home on Reed Avenue. So Reed Avenue is identified as a collector, so building that single-family home, in order to get their C of O, they're supposed to build an 8-foot sidewalk, and so they are requesting a waiver of that requirement. And the title of this resolution, a resolution approving a waiver, W25-25, of street improvements, drainage, curb gutter, sidewalk, and streetlights as set forth in the ordinance 3725 to Gabriel Quinoez in connection with 2357 Reed Avenue, a single-family dwelling. And I apologize if I butchered his name.
Do you have any idea what the closest sidewalk is, either way, east or west, and streetlights?
No, you stumped me. I do not know where the nearest sidewalk right off.
That's way out there, Mark. I doubt if there's anywhere close.
Move the resolution pass for option 1.
Second.
Okay, we have Reed's out past, it's kind of out in the area of Eubanks.
Off 265.
Yeah, northeast. Kind of north of the water tanks, yeah. There you go, you can see the tanks. All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? This is with option 1. All right, call for the vote.
Carry 7-0, option 1.
All right, our next sidewalk waiver, this is a property that you saw not too long ago. They rezoned from C2 to C5 to have a drive-through. This is for the Red Barn Bakery. That's going to be on East Robinson. They have a non-large scale that is under review. It may have been approved. I'm just not up to date on it. So East Robinson, go to it. So they're required to do a 10-foot side path, and what they're proposing is similar to what the adjacent property did, that's just to the west, where I think they built an 8-foot. Yes, so they're proposing an 8-foot sidewalk rather than a 10-foot, so that they can leave a 3-foot green space in there and still meet that intention.
Now, wait a minute, say that again?
So they're required to build a 10-foot sidewalk out front, but they only have 11 foot of room. So what they're doing is they're proposing, rather than a 10-foot sidewalk, to do an 8-foot sidewalk and then a 3-foot green space. The neighboring commercial business to the west did that, and so they kind of want to just follow that trend for consistency.
That was my question. My
sorry.
question was, would it not look funny to be 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet, 8 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet? So that answers it. Thank
So
you.
they're going to put the sidewalk in, and so that's based off of which one of these options for that? Is that to grant the waiver?
It's granting the waiver from the 10-foot sidewalk requirement, basically to allow their proposed design to work with engineering department and come to an agreement on that.
And is that option 1?
Correct.
Move resolution pass for option 1.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution with option 1. Any other comments or questions? Anyone in the audience need to speak to this? All right, call for the vote.
Carry 7-0, option 1.
All right.
All right. The next one is a waiver of street improvements. I apologize. Here was a little clip of the site plan for it. So this one, it's the old Brashears building on 71 and Churchill Avenue. So there's currently a non-large scale under review. They're going to do some facelift to the building, but it's mainly just for the parking lot to address some parking. And so part of that non-large scale, they needed a sidewalk. And there are some tough conditions. There's a pretty big drainage swell. And so the applicant had cited those sidewalk conditions and the constraints. And so there was a recommendation by staff that the potential for a private sidewalk connection so that there could be still some pedestrian access, but they would not have to engineer it through that big drainage swale. And then they're asking to be able to leave the 5-foot sidewalk on Churchill.
So the waiver is just for the part
Thompson
in the
Street.
front? Yeah.
Correct, because it's, because 71B, the state maintains it, but we would still want a sidewalk. So, but because the potential of a private sidewalk, it would be option one, to waive it, because then it would be on their property and not the right of way.
Move of resolution pass option one. What's going in there?
I don't know yet. If you know, tell me.
Oh, well, wait a minute
A
here. Let's
commercial
back up
business
high.
based on the zoning.
I'm gonna reconsider this deal here. I get asked all the time if I can't lie to people.
So Sharon, the picture that's up there right now, is there, it appears to be a sidewalk in front of the building right to the east of the parking lot, right? Is there already a sidewalk there?
Correct.
Yes.
It's not within the right of way. So it was built on there.
And that's what they're proposing to
To continue that for that.
go
that-
farther south
Correct.
to meet up with that sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
So that if we did that motion, that's what would happen?
We would require that to approve their development plan.
Okay, we do have a motion, a second. Any other questions, comments? Anyone in the audience? Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0, option one.
All right. And the last one on the planning list. This is one more waiver for commercial street improvements. This is another non-large scale that we have under review right now. And this is for that small section of West Robinson Avenue where it's no longer a state highway in between 71 and Pleasant, basically across from Walgreens, that little strip. There's a non-large for 1106 that's kind of in the middle where they're going to redo some parking and do some improvements and modifications to the site. But since this area of West Robinson Avenue is listed as a bond project, it was recommended for the applicant to do fee in lieu of. And there's some pretty tight existing conditions for that area.
And what is the option for fee in lieu of?
The option of what they would do so that.
No, what is the option on the thing with option number, what is the fee in lieu?
Is it 3?
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that the resolution pass with option 3.
Have a motion, a second. Other questions or comments? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carry 6-0, option three.
Thank you all.
Sharon, do you not have one more? Oh, okay. Okay, that's it.
Okay, made me panic. I was like, oh my goodness, do I? I don't think I do. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being patient.
Great job. Thank you, Sharon. Okay.
I will say,
There you-
Sharon, this feels like the old days when we had so many items from planning coming forward. It makes the meetings a lot longer, but yeah, it is exciting. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, I think it's yours. Item 8, Finance Committee and Chairman Jeff Watson.
All right, seems like we forwarded all these items with recommendation for approval. Can we just do them all at once? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Item 8A, having to do with the granting of a utility easement by the city, being presented by Ben Peters tonight. This was forwarded to council with recommendation for approval, and the title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the grant of utility easements across properties owned by the city of Springdale, Washington County, Arkansas for the East Emma Avenue Streetscape Project, project number 23BPS14.
Move resolution pass.
We have a motion and a second. Other questions or comments? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you, Ben. She'll be back.
Item B is being presented by Ernest, is again a grant of utility easement across city property for Fire Station number 4. The title to this resolution is the resolution authorizing the grant of utility easements across property owned by the city of Springdale, Washington County, Arkansas for the Springdale Fire Station number 4 project LS25-14.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second, now, which utility is this one for, Ernest?
One is a water and sewer easement, one is for Ozarks Electric.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any other questions? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0.
Item 3, also forwarded with recommendation of approval, has to do with putting in a beauty shop in the senior center. That's right, Lori Proud is here to address this. If there's any questions, and this title of this resolution is a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease agreement on property owned by the city of Springdale, Washington County, Arkansas.
Does this include the massage parlor?
Not at this time. We'll bring that back later.
Move resolution pass.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Mike, they do have a price list there on page 215 if you need to look at it.
Well, that's good for seniors. We get a discount.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you.
Item D, temporary use agreement presented by Ernest. The title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the execution of a temporary use agreement on property owned by the city of Springdale, Arkansas.
Ernest?
I was just filling Mike in since he was not at committee, his look of delight on this. This is a temporary use agreement shown on the map behind this building for a subcontractor for the Sundry Hotel project, and be for $500 a month for maybe 2 Connex containers and a storage, maybe a office trailer.
This is for construction of the hotel, correct?
Yes.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Other comments or questions? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carry 6-1.
Item 8E has to do with extending additional funds for the purchase of property for the Sunset Extension. It's also forwarded to council for a recommendation for approval. Titled this resolution is a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds to acquire property from Ana Julia Cubas and Segundio Salas Andrade for the Sunset Avenue Extension and Powell Street Improvement Project, project number 23BPS6.
As I mentioned at committee, this would be the property owner's counteroffer for the city to acquire 203 Sunset. This is a full taking someone's residence. They've requested an additional $25,000 to bring the city's compensation to $260,000. I know the question came up at committee. We have acquired the property just to the west of this property. We closed on it on Friday, and that was with the city's offer, same as the city's offer. When the car ran through the house.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Questions or comments? Anyone? Call for the vote.
Carries 6-1.
Ernest, I don't know if you want to, for time's sake, unless the council wants it tonight, but I think you're prepared next committee meeting to review the results of our land acquisition property process that's been in place for several years. And I think you're going to have some information and some statistics the council would like to see and how well it's actually working. So.
Yes, that'll be on the next committee agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Item F is also a land acquisition proposal to extend additional sums, also recommended by the committee. Title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds to acquire property from MBW Farms LLC for the Jean George Boulevard Extension Project, Elm Springs Road, County Line Road, project number 23BPS4.
This would approve an additional $12,368 to bring the city's compensation to $48,700, which is consistent with the property adjacent to this, same square foot value.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Now, and I will say, I don't mean to interrupt for a possible second, but I believe this is the very last parcel that we need to acquire for this project. All the other easements have been acquired.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Anyone in the audience? Call for the vote.
Carry 6-1.
Item G is a request from the Public Works Department for funds to purchase a mini track loader. And James is here to address this if there's any questions.
Move the resolution be adopted.
We have a motion.
Sorry, I didn't read.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my hard copy here.
We are. A resolution authorizing the purchase of a new mini track loader for Springdale Public Works.
Is this going to be stored at your house?
No. Yours.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0.
Item H has to do with the execution of appraisal services for Sunset Avenue Extension. Again, here we are, almost there. Title to that resolution is a resolution authorizing the execution of an appraisal services agreement for Sunset Avenue Extension Project number 23BPS6.
This is to complete the appraisals for the Sunset Avenue project. Reed and Associates was selected as the most qualified with a contract value of $274,500.
Move resolution pass.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you. And Ben will address item I, having to do with the construction manager for pre-construction services on Sunset Avenue. The title to this resolution is a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction manager agreement for pre-construction services on Sunset Avenue and Powell Street, 23BPS6.
For this, Nabholz Construction was selected through a professional services contract for pre-construction services for the Sunset and Powell project with a not to exceed amount, let's see, of 269, 328. 329, they've got .83, I'll round up.
Get them at the dollar.
I'll do it for half that price.
For half,
Just kidding.
submit your SOQ. Submit your SOQ, we'll consider you for the next one.
Move resolution pass.
Second. We got a motion and a second to approve. Other questions or comments before we vote? I'll call for the vote.
Carries 7-0.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. That concludes the Finance Committee. And item 9 we put on here, as happens from time to time throughout the year, we have calendar issues, and we need to look at our city council, both committee meetings for September. Onto my calendar.
Sure.
Yeah,
Labor Day.
Labor Day is one.
Yeah, so.
Labor Day is one of them.
Labor Day would be the first.
Washington.
And the DC fly-in, yeah.
So the first one would be, because of Labor Day and Planning Commission's on the second. So normally we put that on Wednesday, has been what we've normally done.
Yeah, normally we've been Wednesdays, the following Wednesdays of those Mondays, and I think that'd be great, be fine.
On the first one,
On the first one.
we're going to have an issue on the second one that we'll talk about.
Anybody else have any heartburn on that?
So September
On the first
3rd
one.
for the first one.
September 3rd.
Bo's first football game he plays in for Harding University is on the 4th, so I may be leaving the 3rd that evening, and I may not be here.
Does it work for everyone else? Because we may not find one that works for everyone. Okay. I don't think, do we need to vote?
No. It'd be nice so we can know how to publish it and.
Let's handle these separately then. Can you guys put up a vote for us on this first one? This would be to move the first committee meeting in September to Wednesday, September 3rd. Okay?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we're going to have 2 gone, so that gets us down to, we'll just have to do what we can. May not be able to pass any emergency clauses, so we'll see. Yeah, it's a committee meeting anyway.
And we don't have to read the titles.
You're right, we don't. In fact, we prefer you don't.
I may be here.
Okay, all right. Call for the vote.
September 3rd it is.
Okay, and then let's look at the second committee meeting, which would be scheduled for the 15th. That's a Monday that many of us will be gone to DC. The issue with moving this to Wednesday is that several staff members still won't be here. We've got meetings on Wednesday in DC having to do with possible grants and some other things that we'll go over with you when we meet with you one-on-one. But, so we would need to move that one to Thursday of that
Well, we
week.
have 5 weeks here in September. Can we not take one of these weeks out?
Well, if we want to keep council meetings the same, which is kind of important because it's harder to move a council meeting. If Thursday, the 18th will work, if anything, that puts us in a bind because we've got to turn around and get our council agenda ready. But that's just the way it'll have to be.
Meeting will be after the deadline.
I will
You won't be
will
here.
not be here on the 18th either.
Okay, so that's 2. Anybody else know they won't be here on the 18th?
I'll move for the 18th.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, motion and a second to move the second committee meeting of the month to Thursday, the 18th. All right. Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Second will be September 18th. That might be the first time we've ever had a meeting after the agenda deadline.
How about that? Comments from council?
I do think it's worth mentioning that, we talked about moving the committee meetings to Tuesdays. This is like the 8th time, I think, this year
Yeah.
where that came into play. So, it is a real thing.
Yeah. Is that your kind way of saying I told you so? Thanks, Aaron.
Mayor, we had a citizen, Jan Franks, that spoke at the very beginning of the meeting tonight, and I tell you what, Chief, man, that's awesome. That's a testament to you and our fire department, and, man, sure appreciate our guys and the good work that y'all do.
Sure do.
Me too. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'd just like to report I've received no comments at all about that fiasco on the extension of Emma Street.
Ben is ready to give us an update on that.
He doesn't have any comment. We're good.
Well,
Everybody's just tickled to death to be able to wait 40 minutes in the morning
Yeah.
with school traffic.
I
they love it
refer
the other-
all questions to you.
yeah, they love it the other 22 hours a day. Go ahead, Ben.
Now, I do want to address that. We underestimated the amount of love that bridge was going to get. So we accounted for all the school traffic. We did not account for all of the vehicles that would be taking off Sunset and Elm Springs Road and the other things. So the idea of a single lane roundabout east and west has been abandoned, and we will now be making that roundabout 2 lanes in all directions. And the 4 lanes coming out in all 4 directions for approximately 300 feet, and then the bike lanes will begin. Talked to the contractor today. We hope that the existing truck aprons that were installed can be removed and patched, and that the thing will be back to 2-lane roundabout when we come back after Labor Day. So that's just Tuesday. So hopefully, weather permitting, Tuesday, the roundabout should function like it did.
That would be great. Now, but now the construction will still be ongoing we've got overlay to do and striping, so we still need people to be patient, but if we
Yes.
can get it opened up to 2 lanes on the roundabout, that should help significantly.
Correct, and we'll put the barrels in place so that everything operates the way it's going to operate in the distant future, but there is a lot of work that still has to be done
Okay.
to complete the project.
Thanks. All right.
Hey, Mayor, I was just gonna ask, we sent a bunch of people your way on that. Is your
Thank you.
office is your office gonna communicate that back to them?
I've told everybody that has contacted me. Now, I've not gotten that many. I've gotten 7 or 8 emails maybe, and all those people know that we're going back to the 2-lane roundabout. And several of them said they would pass that word along. So, we'll just, if we get it opened up that soon, that surprises me, and that is great if we can get it opened up. Yeah, I know, there's still some ifs in that. But if we can get it opened up by the Tuesday after Labor Day, that's gonna be significantly faster than I think people are expecting, so.
I get daily updates, so.
Yeah, I know.
And pictures.
Lawson sent me a text this morning with a picture, and I said, oh, I hadn't heard about that. So, anyway. But we're working on it. We're working on it. Thank you, Ben. Hey, I know that it's been frustrating for folks, but I want them to know too that they've got a city government that here's when they see some problems, and we're not too big or too proud to say we made a mistake and we need to get it straightened out. So, all right. I don't have anything. So do we have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. This was a